The alert hit my phone at 0300 hours in Afghanistan. $45,000 boat loan approved, followed immediately by Dad's text. Thanks for helping the family enjoy life, sweetie. I stared at the screen in my dusty bunk, calculating how many months of combat pay had just been stolen while I was dodging IEDs. But what my family didn't know was that falsifying a service member's signature during deployment wasn't just fraud. It was a federal crime that made the JAG office very, very interested. The base was still dark when I stumbled to the communications tent, my hands shaking with rage more than the pre-dawn cold. 3 years in the Army had taught me to stay calm under fire, but this betrayal hit different. While I was eating MREs and sleeping in 120-degree heat, my family was apparently shopping for boats using my credit score and military benefits. "Sergeant Delgado, you okay?" Private Morrison asked, noting my expression. "Define okay," I muttered, pulling up my credit monitoring app with dread. The boat loan was just the beginning. As the page loaded on our spotty satellite internet, line after line of unauthorized charges populated my screen. Credit cards I'd never applied for, maxed out. A motorcycle loan for $15,000. Store credit at 3 different furniture chains. Even a timeshare in Florida. All opened in the last 4 months since I'd deployed. Total damage, $127,000. My credit score, which I'd carefully built to 780 before deployment, had crashed to 492. "Jesus," Morrison whistled, looking over my shoulder. "Your identity got jacked?" "By my own family." I screenshotted everything, my military training kicking in. Document first, emotion later. "Morrison, I need you to witness something." I called my bank on speaker, knowing the conversation would be recorded. The representative confirmed what I already suspected. All applications had been submitted from my parents' home IP address, using my social security number and forged signatures. "Ma'am, given that you're currently deployed, this appears to be a violation of the Service Members Civil Relief Act," the rep said. "Would you like us to flag this for criminal investigation?" "Yes, and I need copies of all applications sent to my JAG office." Morrison's eyes widened. "Your parents don't know what they just did, do they?" "They're about to learn." Captain Harrison at the JAG office took my case personally. Turns out, his own brother had tried something similar while he was in Iraq. Within 24 hours, I had a military lawyer assigned and a criminal investigation opened. The Service Members Civil Relief Act, SCRA, wasn't just some random protection. It was federal law with teeth. "Sergeant Delgado," Captain Harrison said during our video call, his expression grave. "Identity theft is serious. When it's committed against a deployed service member, it becomes a federal offense. Your parents could face up to 5 years in prison per fraudulent account." "They're my parents," I said weakly, the reality hitting me. "They stopped being just your parents when they committed federal crimes against an active duty soldier." He shuffled papers. "I need you to understand, this isn't a civil matter anymore. The U.S. Attorney's Office will likely pursue this." Dad called that night, probably expecting gratitude. I let it go to voicemail. "Marina, sweetheart, hope you're staying safe over there. Listen, the boat's beautiful, blue and white, just like you always said you wanted. We named her Marina's Dream. Mom's already planning the first family cruise for when you get back. Call when you can." I listened to it 3 times, each replay stoking my anger. They'd literally named their crime after me. 2 weeks of investigation revealed the full scope. My parents had been planning this since the day I deployed. Mom had learned my social security number years ago for tax purposes. They'd intercepted my mail, changed my banking passwords using security questions they knew the answers to, and even hired someone to forge my signature on loan documents. The most damning evidence came from their own social media. Mom posting photos of their new boat with captions like, "Military families deserve nice things too," and "So proud of our daughter for taking care of us." Dad sharing the motorcycle, calling it an early retirement gift from our generous Marina. My unit knew something was wrong. You can't hide that kind of stress in close quarters. Staff Sergeant Williams finally cornered me after a particularly rough patrol. "Delgado, you've been off. What's going on stateside?" I showed her the file I'd been building. Her expression darkened with each page. "Those bastards," she breathed. "Your own parents? They raised me to believe family takes care of each other," I said. "Guess they forgot to mention they meant my paycheck taking care of their yacht club dreams. What's your plan?" "JAG's handling the criminal side. But I want them to understand exactly what they did." I pulled up the draft email I'd been working on. I'm sending this to every family member, their friends, their church. Let them explain why their daughter's credit was destroyed while she was in a combat zone. Williams read it, nodding slowly. Add the screenshots. People need to see the receipts. But before I could send it, things escalated beyond my control. The knock came at 0600 on a Tuesday morning in suburban Connecticut. Mom later told the family she thought it was a delivery. Instead, she opened the door to 2 federal agents and a military police officer. Mrs. Delgado, we have a warrant to search these premises and some questions about fraudulent loans taken in your daughter's name. Dad tried to run. Actually tried to run. A 58-year-old man with bad knees attempting to flee federal agents. They caught him backing the boat, my boat, out of the driveway. The search warrant was comprehensive. They seized computers, phones, financial documents, and the boat. Mom called my emergency contact number, sobbing hysterically, not realizing it would route to my commanding officer. They're arresting us. Marina needs to tell them it's a misunderstanding. We're her parents. Lieutenant Colonel Brooks listened to the voicemail, then called me in. Sergeant, I'm required to inform you that your emergency contact has been compromised. Also, your parents appear to be under federal investigation. Yes, sir. They stole my identity while I was deployed. His expression hardened. The boat loan, among other things, sir. Carry on, Sergeant. The Army takes care of its own. The news traveled fast. Someone leaked the arrest to the local paper. Local couple arrested for defrauding deployed daughter. The boat, it turned out, was just the flashiest purchase. They'd also refinanced their house using my VA loan benefits, opened dozens of credit cards for shopping sprees, and even applied for business loans for Dad's failed ventures. My inbox exploded with messages from family members I hadn't heard from in years. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all with variations of the same theme. How could you do this to your parents? I crafted one response and sent it to everyone. I didn't do anything except serve my country. They committed identity theft against an active service member. They destroyed my credit while I was deployed. They stole my combat pay while I was risking my life. Ask them why they thought a boat was worth more than their daughter's future. The family chose sides quickly. My grandmother, who'd co-signed my first car loan, was furious at my parents. I raised your mother better than this, she told me over a crackling international call. Stealing from your own child? While she's at war. Vergenza. But others, especially those who'd benefited from my parents' sudden windfall, painted me as the villain. My cousin posted on Facebook about how I was destroying the family over money. My aunt called me ungrateful, selfish, unforgiving. I screenshot every message. My lawyer would want them for the sentencing phase. The investigation uncovered more than just fraud. My parents had convinced my younger brother to apply for credit cards in my name too, promising him a cut. He was 19 in college, and they'd made him an accomplice to federal crimes. I didn't know it was illegal, he told me during our first video call after the arrests. Mom said you'd agreed to help out while you were gone. That military families do this all the time. Danny, did you really think I agreed to destroy my financial future from a combat zone? He started crying. I needed money for school. They said you'd understand. The federal prosecutor offered my parents a plea deal. Full restitution, 5 years probation, and 18 months each in federal prison. They'd serve 9 months with good behavior. My brother got probation and community service in exchange for testifying. Mom called from jail, her one phone call routed through the military communication system. Marina, please. We're your parents. We made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting my birthday. You committed systematic fraud over 4 months. We were struggling. Do you know how hard it's been since your father lost his job? I was sending you $500 a month from my combat pay. Silence. Then quietly, it wasn't enough. For what? The country club membership you maintained? The cruise you took while I was getting mortared? You don't understand what it's like here. Everyone judges us. We needed to keep up appearances. And now you'll keep them up in federal prison. She hung up on me. The day they reported to federal prison, I was on patrol in Kandahar. My squad knew the date, kept me busy. But during downtime, I pulled up their mugshots online. They looked older, smaller, defeated. For a moment, I felt the pull of guilt. Then I remembered the credit report, the betrayal, the way they'd used my service as their personal ATM. You good, Sarge? Morrison asked. Getting there, I said, closing the laptop. Let's move out. 6 months later, I returned home to financial wreckage but legal vindication. The criminal case was settled, but the civil cleanup took years. Every fraudulent account had to be disputed, investigated, removed. The VA had to untangle the home loan mess. My security clearance was under review because of the financial chaos, threatening my military career. But there were victories too. The boat was sold at federal auction, proceeds going toward restitution. The credit cards were discharged as fraudulent. Slowly, painfully, my credit score began to recover. My grandmother invited me to live with her while I sorted things out. "You need family," she said. "Real family. Not those thieves." My parents served 9 months, released early for good behavior. They tried to contact me, but the restraining order I'd obtained held. They moved in with my aunt, the same one who'd called me ungrateful. Birds of a feather. At their sentencing, the judge had been clear. "Mr. and Mrs. Delgado, you didn't just steal money. You stole from someone who was serving this country, who trusted you, who was sending you support even while deployed. You violated the most sacred trust between parent and child. This court hopes you use your incarceration to reflect on the gravity of your betrayal." My brother eventually reached out, genuinely remorseful. We rebuilt slowly, carefully. He'd been manipulated too, in his own way. But trust, once shattered, never quite fits back together the same way. 2 years post-deployment, I sat in a financial counselor's office, finally seeing positive numbers. Credit score, 695 and climbing. Savings account, growing. Trust in family, complicated. "You've done amazing work recovering from this," the counselor said. "Most people would have given up." "The Army taught me to adapt and overcome," I said. "Just never thought I'd need those skills against my own parents." She nodded sympathetically. "What they did was unconscionable. Using your service against you. They didn't see it that way. To them, I was just a resource. My duty was to provide. And now I know the difference between family and blood relatives. One's about love and respect. The other's just genetics. I still serve. Made staff sergeant last year. My security clearance was renewed after extensive review. My fellow soldiers know my story. It's become a cautionary tale about protecting yourself even from those closest to you. Sometimes, late at night in the barracks, I wonder what life would have been like if they'd just been honest. If they'd asked for help instead of taking it. If they'd seen me as their daughter instead of their bank account. But then I remember the boat named Marina's Dream, and realize that was never my dream at all. My dream was simpler. Serve my country, make them proud, come home to a family that loved me more than my paycheck. 2 out of 3 isn't bad. And sometimes, losing your family is the only way to find yourself. The JAG office still uses my case in their briefings about the Service Members Civil Relief Act. Captain Harrison told me they've prevented dozens of similar cases because people now understand the consequences. "You saved a lot of service members from going through what you did," he said at my promotion ceremony. "I just wish I could have saved my relationship with my parents too, sir." "Sergeant, they made their choice the day they forged your signature. You made yours the day you reported it. One of those choices was honorable." He was right. In the end, they taught me the most valuable lesson of my military career. Sometimes the enemy isn't across the ocean. Sometimes they're waiting at home, pen in hand, ready to sign your name to their dreams. But the uniform I wear, the oath I took, the honor I carry, those are things no one can steal. Not even family. Especially not family.